Hold on 1 second. As always, it's a Thursday. You never know what's going to happen around here. Don't even have my, I don't know if it's going to work. My other microphone is not even turned on. No idea. Just a minute. Probably not without starting my software. Darn it. It's the one thing I always have to remember every Thursday. It's the one thing that I always try to forget. So hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. It looks like you can. Hopefully. Audio, video check. Great. And hopefully the audio is not too bad because it's not the right mic. It's not the right one. It's not the one I want to be using. I mean, unless I restart my software, it's not going to show up. And I don't know if I do that, if it will. Oh, I don't know if it'll mess things up. Yeah, we're not using the right one. You never know what's going to happen. You just never know. Okay. Anyways, we're just going to roll with it. It looks like it's reading that the microphone that is picking me up is doing okay. So on we go. So today we're doing our June calendar page. Now, next week, I wasn't able to stream last week. And last week we were going to finish off this painting. We were going to do the foreground. So if you've been following this one, we're going to finish this next week. So that is still coming. I haven't forgotten it. I haven't dropped the project. We are going to continue. I am using my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White today if I need to add any bright whites back to my scene. I have some Daniel Smith paints here. This is actually my little travel pochade box, which is my favorite, but not ideal with these little tiny pans, but we can make it work. I just wanted to use my Daniel Smith paints today. This is just a larger buff titanium. So PW6, I'm going to be using that probably in my sand. Let's see. As always, I use my Derwent Graphite Extra Large block to transfer my image. I just brushed that on the back, rubbed it in with a tissue, and you see how well it works. And you can actually see, I bring this up because my image wasn't as wide as what I want to paint. And so here is the Derwent, transferring with the block. And then here is my actual pencil. And the pencil actually shows up so much darker and it doesn't erase as clean and easily, but it'll be fine. Okay. So I did put my birds on there. I've been liking bringing some sort of real life into a scene. And of course, I was not even going to attempt to do any figure drawing or put people in these chairs. There's just a couple chairs on the beach inviting you to come on over and sit down and stay a while. Maybe bring your little pochade box and paint for a bit. I know that's what I would be doing. So this was generated, as I've always shared with you guys when I do a concept art with AI. I use Magic Media, which is through Canva. And let's just talk about this for a minute because AI makes mistakes. You can't just use what AI spits out to you. Now, I did include this image over on Patreon, so you can grab it over there. If you're on Discord, I shared it on the Discord server as well. And it is in a post here on the chat community tab on YouTube. And this is what it spit back. Now, I am kind of sticking to it a bit. However, look at the poll. Our poll comes out here, but it doesn't continue. And then weirdly, there's like a straight piece here that's, I guess, part of the poll. But this isn't like a hinged poll, so it should be straight. So that's what I did. I just made it continue straight. And you can see here where my poll comes straight down through. Also, the chairs were not right at all. Like this one, I don't know how it's standing up because it's missing a front leg. There's no leg down there. So of course, I put one in. Hi, Karen. Karen says painting on a beach. Yes, please. I think we need a plein air trip to a beach because just saying. Karen, of course, from Karen Clark Creations here on YouTube, is in my one of my friends and in my plein air painting group here up in Maine. Yeah, we need to go do that. So anyhow, and then there was no front leg. So I don't know how this chair is staying standing because, you know, it has no legs in the front. So of course I did draw them in and I fixed that. I am not going to paint my chairs exactly the same colors as these, and I'm probably not going to paint my umbrella the same as this. You don't even have to paint in stripes on your umbrella. You can make it a solid color. I definitely encourage you, paint it however you want to paint it. And there was some weird like white spots through here. I was like, you know what? No, those don't exist in my world. So that's not there. I just use it as a starting point, right? So there's also the sun is casting shadow from these chairs, but we're not seeing the umbrella. So I don't know what good this umbrella is doing for them because that shadow is going to be like way back here, but it's in the picture. So we are going to go ahead and get started with this. Now, I had considered using some masking and masking out my chairs or my umbrella space. And you know what? I think we're just going to dive right in and go for it and just see what happens because we can paint around where this pole is and do this section and do this section. The sky is a gradient. You don't have to keep it that way. You can put clouds in your sky if you want to. Whatever you choose, right? It's your painting. I think I am going to do a nice gradient for the sky and then pick up the water because that will let me kind of work around these things without masking them off and it looking odd. So that's what I'm going to be doing. You can follow along or watch it through and then decide to watch the replay. It will be available for replay and paint it then. As always, you don't have to use the same paints I'm using. I am using watercolors. I will give you the pigment numbers because with the pigment numbers, you can match up to ones that you have. All right, so I did transfer my image, so I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I don't think I'll have to put that back on there. I'm debating, should I fold it out of my way? No, I'm going to end up putting my hands in it and getting graphite and then making a mess. All right, I'm going to play to my weaknesses here. I know I would make a mess. All right. Hello to Wildflower and Art of Joseph Fincham and, of course, Tara Giblin are our moderators here on the channel. They both have channels here on YouTube. I definitely encourage you to check them out. Their links are in the description below. And hello to George and Karen, I already mentioned. And, you know, if you're just watching but not chatting, hello to you too. All right, let's see. I'm going to start. I do have my golden maple brushes that I've been using again, the reservoir brushes. I'm loving these. You'll probably see me grab the 4 and the 8 at some point today. Look at the points on those. And the belly just holds so much paint. I love it. I love these brushes. Definitely recommend. And the folks at Golden Maple, if these are something that interests you, gave us a 20% off discount. And that link is in the description below. The code is Clark20. So if you are interested in those, like I said, I'm loving them. Okay. This is water-soluble graphite, so I'm not too worried about what I have here, but I am going to lighten up a little bit around the areas. What I did was I went around the area where I wanted the waves to be. It's also just going to kind of help show me where the transition is that I want to kind of make this water go a little bit more green. So I'm going to just lift these just slightly. And of course, you see how easy this lifts? This is when I use the Derwent block. That's not lifting so well. That is pencil. So I'm going to be lightening that up a bit too. And I really have to work to get that lighter. And like I said, that was using pencil right on my watercolor paper. It comes off so much better if you just transfer your image with using the Derwent, that graphite block. Again, I don't know if this is linked in the description, but you can get them on Blick. I do have a link to Blick. And I am using the Onyx Dark. So I'm just going to take a regular eraser and just lighten these lines up a little bit for myself. I don't want them to completely disappear, but I don't want to see them when I'm done either. Okay, and as for the rest of it, like I said, it's water-soluble graphite. I'm not worried about it too much. Okay. I think we are ready to dive in on this one. I don't think this one's going to take a real long time to paint. I really don't. So perhaps that will give us a little bit more time to fuss on the details. I'm just giving my paints a spritz here. All right. I'm going to start just by wetting the background. I'm just going to kind of go around my birds, like I said. Where they are, I'm going to want those spots white. I can always come back with my Dr. P.H. Martins at the end and bring them back. It's not a problem. Your pigment is only going to flow where there's water. So just wetting around my objects here. Color in there. I have to remember that. And I'm using a size 10 round Princeton Velvet Touch for this. I'm going to go around the little bird body, but I'm not too worried about the wings. They're seagulls, so the bodies are going to be white. And this is the calendar by Lightwish that I have been working on. You don't have to have this calendar. You can just paint these and make your own. Or if you're not painting a calendar and you like seascapes, you could just paint this one to have as a seascape. And some of that graphite has moved, but again, I'm not worried about it. Okay, I have my medium ceramic palette here. This is like my absolute favorite one that from them. And this, I don't know if this particular one is linked in the description below, but there is a link for Meeden. And the folks over at Meeden have also given us a discount code. Code Clark10 will get you a discount over at Meeden. Again, all the links are below. All right, let's go with like a cerulean blue sky. Bright, beachy day. The sun is out. This is a PB36. Let's see how we like that. If it becomes too much of a hassle to paint around my birds, I'll just paint over them and bring them back. So far, I think it's looking fine. Get that blue in between the little flaps on my umbrella. I don't have my board tilted today. That would actually be a help. I'm going to just lift it just slightly, just to keep any water and paint moving downward. Grabbed a little bit of water on my brush before I picked up more paint, so we can get a lighter value. And again, I'm not worrying about a perfect grade wash. It's fine. If it dries and I have any little gaps or something, it's just going to look like there's clouds in your sky. So don't worry about, like right here, it's kind of going to look like maybe there's a cloud there. All right, let's work on getting the same thing on the other side. I would love to be sitting right behind these chairs painting this from real life. You have to remember, you can always also see the sky through right here on this chair. Right in that little tiny triangle. All right. Then I want strongest value at the top. Making sure I get in between those flaps again. Those values look like they match up pretty good right there. a little dark there. So I just rinsed my brush, patted it dry so I wasn't flooding the area with water because that would have pushed my paint away. And there we go. I think I would have liked that to get a little bit lighter right in this transition, but if I start messing with it now, I'm going to mess it up. So we're going to just leave it be. I know, as I keep putting brush strokes over my paper. Just going to leave it be. It is fine. Okay. Next, let's paint our ocean. Let's not overthink this, right? It's going to be some lines of blue, a little bit of green, and some white. We can do this. For the back, I want the horizon line darker. Now my PB36, right? It's what I see in my sky. So I'm going to want some of that, especially up on my foreground. Bring that in. But I'm also going to want, let's see. I missed water. I can't read my numbers. PB27, that's my palette. We'll use that. Right? It'll be darker. There we go. So that's going to give us up at our horizon. And we'll work our way down. We need some greenish water in the middle. So let's take a little bit of that. Let's try some. I got PB36 here. You could use PG18 Viridian, right? Viridian. You could use Phthalo Green if you don't have Viridian. PG7. Oh, let's work that in. Yeah. Going with the PG18. Get us a little bit more green. Wrong one. But it's not like, this makes me think of like Caribbean beach. I want a Maine beach. This needs to be a little bit more, let's see. 48. Yeah. Color's got to lean a little bit more green like that. So all I did was I pulled in a little bit of PO48, just a touch. Let's see, that's too much. But we can mix up some more. Right, there's our PG18, a little bit of the PO48, and bring down some of the same blue. And we have our green that we're going to use where those waves are turning up, right? Because our sand is mixing in with the water and it's starting to look green. Okay. Let's go ahead and wet our space. I'm going to leave these spaces where I want it to be the waves crashing. I'm going to leave those white. I'm not going to, I'm going to leave that dry. So I'm going to wet this area. My horizon. On the tops of those. If you're not comfortable still working with the size 10 brush, you could drop down to like a 6. There's a 6 round. You could absolutely do that. Hi, Cadmium Red Feral Kitten. Hi to everybody. Lovely painting choice today. Thank you. Missing the beach. Oh, first days of icy cold weather here. Yeah, as we start summer, you start winter down under. It was like 80 degrees here in Maine yesterday. It's not so warm today. It's about 77 to almost 80, but a little bit cooler. All right. I'm going to work on that part after. So I'm going to just focus here. I'll get the little bits in between and then work that way. So start with a little bit more of my B27. Yeah, my board is tipped, so it'll flow down, and the sky has had a little bit of time to dry, so it shouldn't creep up into my sky. Could have dried that before we moved on, but it is what it is. All right, now I don't want it as strong as I move my way down. Just cleaning out my brush, but again, I don't want to bring in a lot of water. I have water on my page. Grabbing the cerulean blue, like that PB36 that was in our sky, and I'm just going to come up to this. Around the edges of my chair. That's part of my wave. There's top of another wave, or that's the same wave. There's painted that into my chair, but that's not a problem. Trying to keep now. If I would have dried this, I could have put a piece of tape across, and that would have really helped me keep my horizon line nice and straight. So if you're watching and then painting, dry your painting, put a piece of masking tape right across, and you'll have a nice straight line for the ocean. Look at that water just spilling down. That is because I have my page elevated and my paper was all wet. And here I'm starting to get into where our wave is. And so that I'm going to pick up. It's out over here and pick up my green that we mixed up. Start to bring that green in here. Here. Keeping it kind of even with my wave. I'm going to return to my cerulean blue. And let those mix. There's another wave down here. Those mix. Pull that color out. It doesn't matter if I leave a couple little spots white. There we go. Bring a little bit more dark. As I bring this dark in, I don't mind, again, if some of the lighter stays. It's going to look like there's waves back there. As long as my brush strokes are moving from go left to right along the horizon. That's all that matters. As I move forward, I'm going to grab my size 6 round. Some of this cerulean blue. Now, this part of my paper isn't wet, and that's fine. I'm leaving some space white on purpose. And my water stop right about here. Now, in this space, a little bit of that blue here as well. All right. I'm going to keep using the smaller brush to get all in between these little spaces. So I want to start off, I'm going to grab my 227 darkest blue and get my horizon lines in. So a little tiny speck right there. So you can actually see a line right there, and that is the difference in pre-wetting the paper. Like, see how smooth that is, and not. And you get that line. There. And we have, let's just get this fixed first. Remember, my board is on an angle, so when I put this color in, now that that's wet, it is just going to flow down, and I should get a nice blending. Okay, so we have this wave is coming over. I can see another bit of blue through here. See, I have the blue here and the blue here. Well, I gotta make sure I bring these across. The lines are not drawn in there. I'm just gonna kind of work that out as I go. And don't worry if it's not perfect, because you know what? Waves don't roll in one perfect straight line, right? Like here's all part of that wave. It's breaking over here and breaking over here, but it hasn't met in the middle yet. So don't worry if it's a little wonky. It's fine. There we go. Then again, we have more here. See, here's where it connects. So bring that right over. We're in about here somewhere. There we go. And there's our beach in the distance, or our ocean. Our beach isn't in the distance. The ocean is. I'm just going to bring a few lines through. Let's see. A few darker lines. Okay. And we can add details and stuff to this after. I think I'm going to come in and glaze a little bit more with the green. So glaze, I just have a nice thin down version of this color. And I'm just going to come right through here, especially where these waves are really turning up. Just bring a little bit more that green color in. Bring a little bit this way as well. All right. When we're all done, if we have the time at the end, I'm probably going to come back through here and bring some like Dr. Page Martin's Bleed Proof White that has been a little thinned down, and maybe do like a little bit of foam work in here. But that's if we have time. And if you're not comfortable with it, and you're happy with it just like this, you can leave it just like that. Oh, I think I also want to take a little bit. I have kind of moving all that paint back over here so I can get it all on my brush. I'm going to take some of that green and I'm going to put it right in here, right where the base of this ring. Get a little bit of that so it's darker just underneath that one. I'll kind of lift it up. Carry that across. All right. Now for the sand, I'm just going to flip my palette around for now. For the sand for our beach, I'm going to have out here at the very bottom edge, I'm going to want my, actually, I'll leave this brush. I'm switching back my size 10 round. You're going to see me use those golden maple brushes when we get into doing these chairs. All right, so my buff titanium. I just did that in my clean water. You guys do that? I do it all the time. I'll go to reach for water and not be paying attention. Right into the wrong one. Okay. Let's take some of that and get our lightest, the lightest color for our sand. Pull that through. I'm kind of painting it around. I'm trying to follow what I have. Okay, that's the back part of this chair. All my sand is not going to be this light. We're just kind of blocking it in. All right. We need to make some of this darker. Let's grab a touch. I have a, I think I'm just going to grab a PBR7. This is raw umber. Right, because our wet sand is darker. Let's see. Bringing just barely touching my PO48 just to warm it up. Okay, this is almost darker. Maybe we see some some of the sand through where our water is. This is going to just gradually fade out. I think I could even go darker. I think it's really. I don't know if I even have enough paint there. I never mix enough paint. You guys know that by now. But I'm not going to worry about it too much because I think I could actually go a little darker there. And I'm definitely going to get really dark underneath these chairs. So let's go even darker. Is that PBR7? This is a really bright, sunny day. So it's not looking like almost black. Sometimes the sand looks almost black when the water's just receded from it. For my PW 6.1 buff titanium. Yeah, my board is elevated. This is still a little damp. So when I bring the darker value in here, it should blend down. Grab my 6 round. I just want it damp. I just want to soften these edges I just put underneath here. Right. What color are we going to paint our chairs? I think because it will have an impact. Like if this one were like a transparent fabric and it was blue, my sand would look blue. And you can see that in that reference photo. You see how the sand here is actually looking pretty blue. And on this red one, they have like these teal sides. Mine are going to be just solid colors. But you see how that color is reflecting down here in the sand. So we want to kind of think about that. Sun's going to push through and cast some of that color downward. I'm thinking that red chairs just will really pop in this scene. But I'm still not sure. If you're watching with me live, drop a comment. What color do you think the chairs should be? And I'm going to paint in the woodwork of the chairs. And I'm going to use that same copper. And I'm going to grab a little bit of that PO48. Keeping it all pretty comprehensive, like all the same kind of colors that I've already used. And I'm finished mixing this up, but then I'm going to switch over to one of my golden maple brushes because it'll lift up so much of this color and it will let me do work a lot longer. Orange. I was thinking orange too, Karen, before the stream. I was like, maybe I'm going to work with the PO48 and maybe I make them that beautiful burnt orange. I love it. And then I could do the umbrella like the same kind. And I think the orange with the blue, they'll really just kind of pop right off the page. So we have one about orange and I'm loving that idea. All right, so this is the size 8 round from Golden Maple. Big old belly, beautiful point on this brush. Cadmium red. Feral Kitten says definitely a cadmium red. I don't have cadmium red in this palette today, so I mean I have reds, but I don't have cadmium red. You see, I'm just like scooping that all up with the belly of this brush. All right. Now let's do some painting. This will really go a ways. I love the points on these brushes. See, Habit is saying, oh, you just did that. Now you need to reload. I really don't need to reload. There we go. Now see, there's the leg that didn't exist. And I'll end up having to make that a bit darker. But that's okay. This is just our right, our first blocking in. I'm like, it's almost, I almost want to say that the point is too fine. Can't fill it in as fast as I want to. All right, let me mix up some more of that. So we had our PR7. And I switched from this guy because I'm not going to mix with that. Our PO48. And I'm going to do, while I have all this on my brush, some of these down here at the bottom where they need to be darker. The top side of this one here, shadow. This is actually darker, so I'm just going to darken it up. Under edge of this guy. Definitely down here. And definitely this back one. Go. What I love is when you get this all really wet like this, and this brush is loaded, it does not flood. A lot of reservoir brushes that I've tried flood the paper when you first touch it. And this, look at that, it does not. It's almost like writing with a pen. Painting around my umbrella post there. Around the leg of the chair in front. And this one in front is not connecting to its leg. I don't know what's going on there. We'll have to fix that. We'll fix it. We'll just bring it down further. Okay, so let's start working on some of this next one. So here, the umbrella is in front of this piece. Then it comes in front of this one here, because it's between the two chairs. I just love the point on these brushes. Like, it will let me come back and touch. I should have a little bit of blue that's slightly higher right there. I don't know if you guys can actually really see that, but with this brush, I'll be able to get in there and get that, make that happen. Let's get that back. Like, it's not actually drawn. It should be just slightly different, but since we have everything painted around it, we're just going to go with it. We're just going to bring it down to meet that leg. I think that's fine. Right? We can just extend this leg back. And just slightly let it go into the sand there. I'm just working over where I had that blue that went into my side of my chair here, just to kind of reactivate that color and pull it through. And the arms on this chair is a bit lower, and I didn't paint it in here. Right here. That's where the arm goes forward there. There we go. But we're not really seeing the rest of it because it's going to stop before, our fabric of our seat is covering it. We'll come back with darker values, put the shadows in on this one as well. And this leg. I'm going to bring this one back further, just like I did that one. Right. Now I want it a darker value. Still my PBR 7. And a little bit of the DO 48. So I'll pick all of that up with my brush. All right. And we'll add some shadows on this one. And see, in the concept art, the wood was like painted, right? Like the wood was like painted green. I decided I just wanted it natural wood. So I'm just painting it all that way. You can do yours any way you want to. Let me darken over here. And of course, everything underneath is going to be dark. And it looks like, as I'm looking, it looks like there's like the piece that goes this way, like to keep the chair stable, because you'd have one in the front. You'd probably have one in the back. And I think I'm going to paint that in. Okay, I'm just going to kind of make it happen. It would just kind of go like the way the seat would go this way, it's just going to go right across like so. Same thing with this one. Just going to kind of bring it. Bring it along. I want them to be safe. darken up the back part of this. And again, if these need to be darker, it's certainly come back through. Under the bottom edge of the arm. Okay. They're probably going to need to be darker in some spots, but I'm going to let that dry for now. Let's see. Thanks, George. Ah, question about my little palette. This is my little Pashad box. I've shared this little guy before, but because you asked. So, I always tell you guys when I have the little metal palettes, first thing I do, right, is pull off the one side that has these little wells because I don't like the way they sit because they don't sit flat. It's always like, like tipped at an angle. And so I don't like them. Well, this box is actually the box that my limited edition haze set came in from Schminka. So I took this box, I stuck a little tack right here and the little push pin. And the reason that is there is because this box would open and lay flat. I didn't want it to open and lay flat. I wanted it to hold the lid up. So you can kind of see there, it'll just hold that lid up. So now I can just hold this in the palm of my hand. These little pans are all Daniel Smith. And I thought about putting in one more row because I still have a little flat spot here that I never mix on. So I thought about putting one more row like these, which would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more colors. Who wouldn't want 7 more colors? So I don't know. That's for future me to decide. But regardless, one of those sides to a little metal palette fits perfectly in this box. So I didn't even have to glue this down. I just pushed it in there and just the friction, against the sides held it right in place. And then I did take like a double stick tape and put all my little mini pans in here. And of course, I don't even have room on my swatch. I should have listed them all down here, but I didn't think about it. So I only have like what the pigment numbers are. And it says that these are Daniel Smith. Now, in the top part, there's the 2 elastics. And the reason I have these 2 elastics, these are just elastics that like came off produce. And I put them around here because when I have my little tiny sketchbook, I don't have one. No, I don't have one up here, but my little tiny sketchbook is only like this tall. And it's a square. And so when I open that up, I can tuck it under each of these sides and it holds it in place. So I can just stick the covers back there and then I can just paint and I just hold this. Or the other thing is this little piece, which came, covering the paints. I use it because I have some watercolor paper in here. And I keep that to protect the watercolor paper. Now I could just take out one piece and put it on top, right, in front of this, and just paint on that little tiny square. And that's the size that it is. But usually I just keep this in here. I paint on my little, in my little sketchbook. I have a clip that sticks on here and it has a magnet and I will stick like my little tiny mini palette. Do I have a mini palette here? Yeah. So a mini palette like this, I stick on here and when I open it, it has a sponge in it. And when I'm out painting plein air and I'm using like a water brush, that's all I need. I have my water brush. I stick that on there and my sponge that's in here is what I use to clean off my water brush with in between when I go. So these are different set of paints, but Yeah, so that's what I do. I believe it was Leslie Strauss that I here on YouTube that I saw do. I think it was her. My apologies if it wasn't her, and I'm not giving credit to the right person. That I saw do something similar to this, and I was like, I can absolutely make something with that. So yeah, that's how I. That's what I do. That's my little plein air facade box. I love it. This is like my favorite one. It has become my favorite one to use. I have my portable painter and this one, and then I have some of the little tiny mini. And if I wanted, like my M Graham palette is, I have a little mini one like this, and I could even just take that. This is a Holbein palette, but I could just clip it on there too, and I'd have the extra colors. But anyways, that's how I use that. So thanks for asking. Hi, Dolphin Soul. Okay. So now that this is, that was a good transition to let this kind of dry a little bit. Let's paint our, let's paint our seats here. And we're going to paint our seats. Go with Karen and paint them orange. And I have PO 48. And then, I actually have, okay, we want these to be kind of see-through. I think we're gonna use PO 48 to help with some shadows. This is like, what's this, Aussie Red Gold? Yeah, look at that. I think that will just, wow. And for those of you who are not sure, um, that is PY 83, PR 101, and PV 19 makes up that color. It is Aussie Red Gold. Put just a touch of PO 48 into it. Look at the yellow. Oh, it's going to be so nice. And that'll help us, that'll bring some light in, like the sun is shining through. Oh, I dropped on it. There we go. All right, so let's start with this guy. I'm just going to wet this first. And against that blue, oh, this should just pop. And it just takes off. You just put this color in and it goes. I love this color. It's the I think that PY 83, that yellow. Just look at the yellow just taking off and traveling down. Again, my board is still, I do have my painting still elevated slightly. Trying to decide, do we have a wooden umbrella? We have a metal umbrella. Maybe this is like a set. Right? And the little stripes match our, look at that. All right, but we want to darken up the bottom. We want the bottom part to be in shadow. I'm going to bring some of that PO 48, which also likes to take off. I'm going to use that to darken up the bottom part. Now I just cleaned my brush. I'm drying it off. My brush is still going to be damp, and I can kind of blend where these two come together. Have a great rest of your day, Karen. This fabric. Nobody's sitting in it yet, so maybe we have like some folds in the fabric. Right, maybe part of it's wet. Maybe they're out there swimming somewhere. There we go. I'm just softening up some of those edges. There. All right, let's paint our next one. Same thing. This is like just where I would want to be painting. Smell that salt air. I wish I would have done this a little bit brighter. Like if the chair looped and came up, we're going to do it on this one. So if the chair like loops over here, we're going to see the top part of that fabric and it's going to be catching more sun. It's fine that one's, we're not going to notice. It's fine. But on this one, I'm certainly going to leave that lighter. So again, taking my Aussie red gold, drop that in and enjoy watching it take off. Although it looks like my wash is already absorbed right into my paper. Or I forgot to do the middle of it. One of the two. I'm gonna put that color in right here. And then Peel 48. Drop in a shadow. Right? It's darker here. A little bit to the underneath. I don't want too much. Pull that back a little bit because I want to see that brighter color because that was still nice and wet. I just found a tube of PO48 from M. Graham. Last time Lou and I went away for a weekend, they had this little stationery bookstore, and I was like, I bet there are art supplies in there. I have to go in. Sure enough, there was a section, and M. Graham happened to be the like the name brand paint that they carried, and they had a tube of PO48. There was only one, and there was no way I wasn't going home with that. You know, it's not being manufactured anymore, so whatever there is out there is all that there is. Um, I know Daniel Smith has said that they got enough to keep it going for a while. So it'll probably be the last brand to run out. A little bit of that creeped up, and I'm just going to lift that out. Right, and we want to keep the other side lighter. The sun is definitely hitting that side of the chair. There we go. I'm loving this. I don't know about you guys, but I am a fire sign. And I definitely think that being at the ocean, the water, oh, it's just so calming for me. I think it brings me balance. All right, what do you think? Now we're going to end up bringing a little bit of that color into this sand here in the shadow because the sun's blowing right through that orange. I think we're going to see a little bit of that cast down here. Okay, we need to do our umbrella. I think with the umbrella, I'm going to go ahead and paint all of it the Aussie red gold, nice and light, so it looks like this nice bright yellow, and then come back and do the stripes in the PO48, which is oh my goodness, Quinn burnt orange from Dana Smith. And it would be easier if I just wet this umbrella. I'm going to wet the sections because here on the ribbing, there's going to be some dark lines and then even maybe some highlights in there. So we're just going to wet the in-between pieces. So again, this is my 10 round. And I'm going to do the Aussie red gold. And then I'm going to let that dry. We'll work on the shadows underneath our chairs. Still have to decide on this pole. Right? Like, is this going to be like a white metal pole, or is it going to be wood and match our chairs? Like, it's a little set. I'm leaning towards it's a little set, and it's a little set that sits right on my private beach. Or my beach house that Fantasy Me owns and loves to go sit out here and paint all summer long. For sure. For sure. Okay. Now, some of these are outside. Like this little flap is like the outside flap. And then this, of course, would be the back sides. This would be the front sides facing us. So those I'm going to leave the Aussie red gold. And I'm going to come in on the back side and I'm going to do those with the Quinn burnt orange. So they kind of look like, it's the back side of it. It's more shadow. But for starters, we're just going to I touched one of those pieces I didn't want to touch, but that's fine. And this is lovely, transparent. My lines are going to show up. Will I be able to lift them afterwards? I don't know. Or maybe they'll disappear with when the when the Quinn burnt orange gets on there. So we'll see. Anyway, I'm not going to let it bother. Cannot wait to peel the tape on this one. I'm going to mix these two a little bit here because I just feel like this one is going to be a little bit more in shadow. Right? Because this guy's flapping down front there. So that kind of blend out. But then this guy definitely going to be nice and bright. Okay, we'll let those dry. Let's work on some shadows down here. So this is PBR 7 again. Should have to refill some of these. I'm going to take just a tiny touch of neutral tint. All right. Now, let's work some shadows in here. Our sun is coming this way. The way our shadows are looking is going to look like it's coming from this angle, like it's off over here somewhere. So if that's the case, this is my pole. I think my pole's going to cast a shadow too, which of course is not on. It's not in the concept art, but if we think about, how the shadows are going to fall, it's going to be like that. Here. Just got into that pole. I'm going to clean that up real quick. Oh, like I said, if we do the pole, looks like wood. Okay. There we go. Something like soften some of these edges. Now, I did say I wanted to see some of that orange. So I'm going to let this dry and I'm going to come back and I'm going to glaze the orange right over that and put some of that orange reflecting onto that sand. I do want to darken up this. There are some spots that I think could even be darker on our chairs. All right, so that was just neutral tint. Mixing that in with the PBR7, which was a raw umber. All right. Now I'm using my size 6 round. You don't have to use um, something this dark. But I want to put like some shadows here, like maybe this guy is casting a shadow on this chair. Darkening up a few lines. Definitely underneath here. Certainly down here. There we go. I'm liking that a lot better. all the way to that piece. It's hard when you have all those lines to just keep track what part is going where. Oh, and we have to remember we added pieces here. There we go. That brings a lot more dimension to our chairs. And of course, I'll bring that up close for you guys to see here in a moment. All right. Our post. I'm just going to add some few more darks. Take that size 8. Reservoir brush here from Golden Maple. And I'm going to do the poll. I made my decision. It's going to be a wooden umbrella. So this is thin as if it were a metal pole. So I'm going to do some adjustments on that. It'll be really easy. I just have to let it dry, and then I'll come back with a darker line along the left side. Although, you know, you could have a round. You'll have a round wooden pole. It doesn't have to be, it's not going to be square. But still, I'm going to come back with a little bit of that dark on the left side. There we go. So if that's the case, these are also going to be make them also be wooden. They would end up being hinged pieces, but I don't need all that detail. It's fine. I keep refilling this brush out of habit. I'm not needing to add more color to this brush Again, not needing it. I'm going to pick up some of this darker though. We'll make this one be darker. I'm loving the way it's looking. Tara, that was like right at the same time I saw that pop through. I am loving it. Okay, I'm going to take the really dark that I had here. Just while I'm using this brush, it already has paint in it. And we are going to do that nice fine line that I know this brush will do to define the left side of our umbrella pole. If it's a wood pole, it's probably two pieces. Right? It'd probably have like a segment right here where it's connected. There continues behind, and then in front of this one. There we go. Picking up a little bit more of what was on my palette because I'm just thinking that, you know what? This umbrella is probably going to have some of this pole be in the shadow. I want it a little darker. Okay. Oh, we are getting close to being finished. I'm loving it. Let's get, oh, that not my 4, size 6 round. And we are going to grab our PO48, which is the quinacridone burnt orange. And I will scan this and update the thumbnail. So those of you who are here on the replay, hey, thanks for watching. I will have already updated, so you saw what this looked like before you started watching. Everybody here during the live stream saw the concept art to start with. And I'm just going to come through. Some of these I put a line only at the bottom, just to be like, okay, a stripe goes above that. I'm working these ones as my brush is starting to run out of paint so that it gets lighter in this area because it looks a little brighter over here. It looks like I have an extra stripe drawn in over here, but see, there's like an extra stripe there. I don't know why. Just go with it. There. See? Just go with it. It's fine. Oh, I love the way the fabric on the chairs look. Let's look for the orange striped umbrella. That's where I'm sitting. Just behind there. We are going to be going to the ocean this weekend. I cannot wait. Though it's always colder there. It's supposed to be cooler this weekend, and it's supposed to rain, of course. But I don't care. I'm gonna just soak it all in anyways. All right. Now, I've been sitting here thinking as I was doing this striping, I said the ones on the inside where we're seeing the back sides of them here, I was thinking about doing with the PO48, but I think what I'm going to actually do is mix the two. We're going to mix them. Okay, so it's not quite that dark, but it's not quite as bright as the Aussie red gold. So we're going to go like that. Right, and then we're just going to do, readjust the point on the brush there. Back sides of the flaps. I mean, one could say, wouldn't that mean that the whole, like all of the inside would be like that? Maybe. Could. You could do it that way. You could absolutely darken them up if you wanted to. I like it. I think it makes them, they match the chairs nicely. This was a very fancy set. Right, we purchased this all together. It was worth it. Do you guys make up stories for your art? I do, like especially my little private beach house here. You can't see it. It sits just back off this way. I'll make that a little darker. Just dropping in a little bit more of the PO48 in that space. I think I am going to darken it up. I do like how that looks. So again, it was our Aussie Red Gold mixed with PO48. I'm just going to glaze it in there. Go really quickly. I don't have to worry about if I get it over my other stripes because I already painted with PO48. And then that kind of really helps the these lighter pieces stand out. I do want to do a little bit of the trim right there, like a seam. I'm gonna do that in the dark as soon as this dries, because otherwise this is just going to it'll just bleed out. Just kind of going around the border. Let's get it a little bit more. A little bit darker. I don't mind if that make those parts a little darker. I think that wood could stand to be a little darker too, but see, that's what I'm saying. You get down near the end and you can just kind of tweak it. Let's get our glaze of our orange down here on our sand. Just going to work with what we have here on the palette. Right, added some water. And let's put some that color into that shadow. We could even take these. I'm going to re-wet this again. And the reason I'm re-wetting the whole thing is because I don't want a hard edge for what I'm about to do. So I'm just going to re-wet both of them. And then again, just that PO48. Drop in a little bit more dark at the bottom. Just a plain brush. Now that it's damp, just pull that, let that blend. Here we go. Okay. Oh, we have to get our birds. All right, we're gonna hustle up, get our birds in. They're just about finished. While I still have this dark right here, I'm going to just put in my seam and trim the bottom edge. There we go. Love it. Okay, our little birds. What a nice, nice pointy brush. Just taking the Golden Maple Reservoir brush, size 4. I'm just going to take what's already here on my palette. Okay. So I want to define underneath this wing. Should have started with the one furthest left, but not where my brain went. This was not what enough. Up here. And we got to do this guy. And we'll most likely grab my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White just to really make them pop. And we'll this guy over here. Karen. I love it too. I am in love with the orange was like perfect. Perfect choice. Okay, so my Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White. Let's just get a little touch on some of these birds. I'm just going make sure that orange is or that brown rather is good and rinsed out because I'm just diving right into it. Actually, mine's getting a bit dry. No, I can't just dive into it. It's not wet enough. It's not flowing. I'll grab some. Put it on my palette. Thin that up just a touch. Since this has a lot of the water in my brush, this is going to be perfect. Remember I said I wanted to do a few little, it's like, it's too much water. I'm going to do it with the other brush. I'm going to do it with this one. Load her up. Go up there. I might need to touch him up with a little bit more of the dark. That's fine. It just looked funny to me, but it is what it is. Like I said, I keep putting them in my paintings because I want to get better at painting them. Oh no, I like that one. Well, until I did that, I went too far. Oh my goodness, it's okay. There we go. All right, just make sure I have a clean spot. He's kind of big. It's really bigger than it needs to be. Anyways, it's fine. It's fine. All right, let's just put in a little bit of some white foamy bits. I should have put in a little bit of blue, like foamy bits, like in between. Okay. Just gonna kind of drag my brush around. This is a touch watered down, so it's not going to be stark white, and I'm okay with that. I wiped it off my chair and then put it right back on my chair. So I can do the same thing. Right? I just said I should have put some like little blue bits and bobs in here because this is the foam and where the water breaks and such. Back here, it's not as prominent as further back. Okay, I'm just going to put some through this little part here. Now remember that dark spot? I said, hey, I need to like darken that up. I'll come back to that in a moment. I really think I did a good job this time. We're not having to come back with the bleed proof white to make the crash of my wave. I'm grabbing some of this and some of this blue. I just want to take that, put some darker values here. Right under here. I'm going to fill that little spot in. There we go. There we go. And these are just the last like little, just being fussy, right? Just the last little bit of fiddling. You can do this. You could do this for hours. We're not going to. We're about to call it done. I am loving the chairs. Can't wait to peel that tape. You guys ready for the tape peel? Just giving some darker marks underneath some of the where it's white, just to kind of help lift that area up. I think it's good enough. I don't think we have to keep fiddling with it. I think it's just fine. Okay. Oh, you know what we do need to do? I think once I dry it with the tape, I'm going to sign back here because my name will just kind of blend in with the shadows and it won't be a prominent, it won't draw your attention away like if I put it over here. All right. Let's heat this up and peel our tape. One thing I didn't do is fix my little bird. Fix my little guy up here. I have a feeling I could mess with him for a long time and not be happy, but he is what he is. Okay. Oh, thank you, Karen. That's definitely what I was going for by using that Aussie red gold. I am like to. Oh, look at that. I love when you get to peel the edges off. And as with every month, there are a couple little sayings here, quotes. Art is the signature of civilizations, which was Beverly Sills. Oh, look at that. And up here, we had a Shakespeare quote, and it says, "The object of art is to give life a shape." Look at that. Ah, it just makes such a huge difference when you peel that tape off. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you wanted to watch first and then paint along, I do hope you will give this one a try. And if you do, please share it and tag me. Even if you're just painting it to paint the seascape, I am so thrilled with the way that came out. What do you guys think? Hi, Caution Artist at Play. Thank you so much. So I will still have live chat tomorrow for patrons over on Discord. If Patreon or a YouTube membership are something you're interested in, there are details in the description below. You can click on one of those links and find out more. I invite you to join us. We have so much fun over on Discord, and every level has perks on Discord. What do you think? If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And until next time, my friends, keep creating, keep painting. Get out there and paint something. Go have a seat right there in those orange chairs and paint yourself some waves. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.